Have you ever wondered who the copper golem really is? At first glance, it seems like a villager invention. Its face structure looks a lot like the iron golems. But in reality, the copper golem has nothing to do with villagers. It doesn't spawn naturally in the Minecraft world. You won't find it in any structure, and it's unlikely that will ever change. The only way to bring it into existence is for a player to build it. And even then, it looks nothing like its creator. You might think that all golems with a carved pumpkin for a head should resemble villagers, but that's not true. The snow golem doesn't look villager-like at all, and the player isn't even part of the villager race, yet somehow they can create robots that villagers themselves have never built. And that raises a big question. What is the true origin story of the copper golem? The developers have said almost nothing about it. Because of that, a huge gap in the lore has formed around the copper golem. Today, we're going to dig into what actually brings this pile of metal to life, who might have created the concept of the copper golem, and where it could have fit in the world if it were ever added to structures. Make yourselves comfortable. The copper golem is crafted by the player using a copper pumpkin. A strange combination at first glance, yet the result is a real functioning robot. It sorts items from chest to chest, reacts when hurt, runs around, and iron golems even give it flowers as if it were a child. Maybe the iron golem simply can't tell the difference between a baby villager and a small copper golem. But if that's the case, then why doesn't it confuse them with, say, vindicators? This strange flower behavior isn't a coincidence. We'll get to that later. But first, let's talk about the most important thing. What actually makes a pile of metal come alive? The pumpkin is the key element. It's grown in village farms, and sometimes villagers carve a face into it. Villagers know how to create an iron golem, and we know that after one dies, they will eventually make another. To grow pumpkins, they use bone meal, either from a composter or from the bones of skeletons that burn in the sunlight. Bone meal already carries magic. You can see it from how it works. No real-life fertilizer acts that quickly, or that mysteriously. And the bones themselves are filled with magical energy. After all, skeletons in Minecraft move and shoot without muscles or flesh. They're held together by pure magic. In Minecraft dungeons, it's revealed that this magic belongs to the Illagers, specifically their mage class, the Evokers. They can bring skeletons to life, create spawners, summon spirits, and even cheat death. So the magic within the bones transfers into the pumpkin. If this magic can animate a skeleton, why couldn't it also bring a golem to life? But the pumpkin has to be carved, hollow, with a face, otherwise the magic won't activate. But the pumpkin isn't the only magical component. The second one is the metal itself. Underground, ores have spent ages absorbing the world's magical properties. That's why gold heals, lapis enhances enchantments, diamonds concentrate magic, and many minerals can power beacons. Iron is magical too. And copper comes from the same depths. That means it also contains magic, which the player releases during smelting. That's why the copper golem comes alive, a combination of pumpkin magic and ore magic. However, there's a mystery. Villagers have never created a copper golem, and neither have players before the concept existed. Villagers don't use copper at all in their buildings or daily life, and the copper golem clearly isn't meant for village tasks. It sorts items, interacts with large numbers of chests, optimizes storage. This is something for massive mechanisms, warehouses, or places that require constant maintenance. And there's only one place where such a robot would fit perfectly: the trial chambers. This structure is built entirely out of copper. It was created by the Illagers, the nose faces, but hostile to villagers. You can even find their ominous bottles there, the ones that trigger a raid. The Illagers have been trying to create their own golem for a long time. We can see proof of this in the Woodland Mansion, where a carved pumpkin sits in a room clearly meant for assembling a stone golem. In Minecraft dungeons, they've already succeeded. They have their own constructs. They know that villagers create golems using a pumpkin, so they could easily replicate the process, just with copper instead. A material they have plenty of. And a copper golem would be genuinely useful there. The trial chambers are huge, full of traps and storage areas that need constant maintenance. There's another interesting point. Illagers kill iron golems and adult villagers, but they don't harm children. And they don't harm copper golems either. That's strange if copper golems were a villager invention, but it makes perfect sense if they're actually the illager's own creation. The iron golem giving them flowers, just like it does with children, feels like a deliberate symbolic detail from the developers. The copper golem can serve both good and evil. It isn't attacked because it's universally useful. And if the developers ever add the copper golem into natural structures, the first place it would appear is the trial chambers. Most likely, we'd find them rusted and inactive, and the player would revive them by scraping off oxidation with an axe. That would be the perfect implementation. But one question remains. How does the player even know how to build a copper golem? Maybe they've been inside the trial chambers before. Maybe they were connected to the illagers, or maybe they simply lost their memory, as it seems when we first enter the world. We'll never know for sure. And that's where this theory ends. Good luck, everyone, and goodbye.